Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, Lord. Begin with us. We commit the various entities who are here to share their success stories into your hands. Impart your wisdom into them. Help us, O Lord, to live with the relevant information needed. We ask you this through your Son, Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Christabel, for that prayer. My name is Jesse Apia, and I'm humbled to be your MC for this program. Before we receive the welcome address, shall we please acknowledge the presence of the Director General of SIGA, Honorable Stephen Asamoah Boateng, who is also known as the Senior Prefect of CEOs. We also acknowledge the presence of the General Manager, Finance and Administration, Mr. Andrews Akwesi Frimpong. We also have with us the CEO of the Consolidated Bank of Ghana, Mr. Daniel Addo. We also have the Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Al Hassan. We also have joining us here heads of divisions, technical advisors, managers, and staff of SIGA. Some of them are also with us physically and virtually. Thank you very much for your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we please welcome the Director General of SIGA, Honorable Asamoah Boateng, to give us his welcome address.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody. My General Manager of Finance and Administration at SIGA, my other directors and managers who are here from SIGA, the MD of Consolidated Bank of Ghana, my own brother Daniel Addo, and my brother, my friend, Professor Amin from GBC, Al Hassan, Director General, thank you for coming. Members of the staff of SIGA and from CBG and GBC, our media friends and family members who are here, as information ministers, you are part of me every time I see you. Welcome to our conference room, and it's the second series of what we call the pitching the successes of our specified entities. You all are aware of the responsibility placed on SIGA and the entities that we administer on behalf of the state. And we all know that they are doing a fantastic job. However, sometimes we hardly get to know the details. Once a while, we pick up certain things from them, but we were of the opinion that we must have a concerted engagement with the media that would tell the success stories. And of course, not only success, but there are challenges so that you guys can carry the message, and Ghanaians on whose behalf we are working would appreciate the job that they are doing. Our role is to facilitate this and make sure that the business of the state is run properly and continuously, yielding the necessary profits and raising the standard of service delivery that we all want. And if you recall in the President's address on the performance contract signing in 2021, he said, and I quote, "As we aim to realize the vision of the Ghana Beyond Aid, it is critical that state entities run efficiently so they can contribute positively to the nation's transformation agenda." And that's what we've been doing. And so today I wouldn't waste too much time. It's just a welcome address for my my two colleagues, the MD for Consolidated Bank of Ghana, Daniel Ado, and Professor Amin Al-Hassan from GBC, and for them to highlight the successes they've chalked in their respective entities. And of course, if there are challenges that the Ghanaian public can appreciate and we can assist them, that would be also good, because we work as a team with everybody on board. So on that note, I would take my seat, hand over to the my media guys. They would handle your corporate affairs. Thank you very much.
Shall we please do it better? Thank you very much, sir, for your brief address. Please, I would like to inform you that we have two presentations. The first presentation is coming from the Consolidated Bank. After that, we'll allow the media to ask a few questions, and then we'll move on to the second presentation. So without wasting much time, I call on the Managing Director of the CBG to take the podium. Please, let's give him a round of applause.
This opportunity for CBG to present to the media and the people of this country the successes we have had so far. The CBG story is a very interesting, a very inspiring story. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, CBG has shrugged off the initial challenges around its formation, and it's now stronger and well So over the next 30 minutes, I will take you through CBG, where we started from, the initial challenges, where we are today, how we've sought to overcome those challenges, but most importantly, where we are going, the way forward, the vision for the bank, how we intend to play that role I talked about by energizing the economic development of this country, focusing on a key part of our economy, which is the SMEs. But that's a later part of the story. I'll come to it. So you will all recall, and it's important to set the context so you understand how things played out. So in 2018 August, take your minds back to 2018 August, the Bank of Ghana revoked the licenses of 5 banks and appointed a receiver to take over the assets and liabilities of those banks. And CBG was formed at that time. CBG then entered into separate arrangements with those banks to purchase some of their assets, but most importantly, to assume the liabilities of those banks. Now, that's a very important point to note, because those liabilities were actually depositors' funds. They were funds that you, me, my father, your father, my grandfather, back in the village had placed in these banks, and those funds were at risk, and so they had to be saved. So we started business. The key challenge at that point was the balance sheet that we started with. Recall what I said, that we assumed liabilities of 7.9 billion, borrowings of 2.2 billion. Now, these were monies that you could actually walk in and ask for because we had assumed them. But the assets we were holding at that time was just 1.1 billion. So you had a big gap in the balance sheet. Now, that is the bank that was plucked by the bonds that were issued by Ministry of Finance, Government of Ghana bonds. And I'm sure you all know these stories, but like I say, we need to set the context for the presentation so that you understand how things played out. Another big challenge was the structure of the entities we had assumed. We had taken over 5 entities in the beginning, 2 later on in January, but you had 5 entities. At that time, when we put all together, if we operated the way they were, we were making a loss of 153 million cedis every month. In 3 months, the capital we started with will have been totally wiped out. So that's the context. Now, what do you do when you're faced with this? Now, that was the financial context. Now, on top of that, you're taking over an entity from day one. There's no governance risk management framework. You have to do something around that. Of course, given the controversy and given the media barrage, and my friends here were very key in that. But given all that, there were trust issues, and we needed to manage that. People wanted to take out their money as quickly as possible because, of course, there was no trust, and they weren't sure that the bank was going to survive. So that's the, if you like, the environment in which we were operating. In addition to that, we had assumed 190 branches dotted all over the country, some of them very poorly placed, some of them very poorly resourced. You had 7 different entities with 7 different processes and control mechanisms, 7 different cultures, and you had a technology nightmare. You had different banking platforms, banking applications, all trying to do the same thing. I remember sitting in the boardroom at the time during the first week and saying to myself, if somebody's stealing money anywhere in these 190 branches, I have no way of knowing. And so we have to sit down and work day, night, rain, shine, snow, whatever it is, to ensure that we had control. And so one of the first things we had to do, of course, was to make sure we had assumed control of that entity. So what did we do? The most important things from day one was to establish an enterprise risk management framework. So we had complete visibility over the risk points within the enterprise and what was going on at every point and at every time. Of course, we then had to put all those entities together as one operating entity. And that we successfully did in 1 year. We had 7 technology databases. We merged everything together, created a new one, dumped it into the new database, and started operating as a bank, as one bank. So technology, operations, distribution. Now, to also manage the cost inherent in this size of operations, we had to reduce the branch footprint. So we moved the branch footprint from 190 to 114. Then, of course, we needed money to operate, but we had bonds on the balance sheet. Now, bonds are sort of an IOU, they're as close as cash as you can get. And so we monetize those bonds by doing some transactions with Bank of Ghana to reduce liquidity. So you begin to establish the foundation for a bank at the stage. The key thing we did, which is also in 2019, after we had stabilized everything, was begin to gain trust. Because remember, across the entire banking scene, because of the things that have happened in the past, trust was a scarce commodity. And so we launched the CBG tagline, "We stand with you." We put our people out into the streets to talk to customers. We went on a media blitz to get the message out there that CBG was formed to stand with everybody in this country. We're formed to stand with the consumer, with the SME person, with the large corporate, with the government entity. We're formed to actually resolve those challenges in the environment at the time. So putting that all together, I'd say our first year was a very difficult year, but it was great. It demonstrated what can be achieved by having a workforce that is energized, that had a clear vision of where they were going, and that was prepared to put in the hard work needed to move the train from the station onto the tracks and on the journey. So we did a few things. We saved 7.9 billion in depositors' funds, and I said saved because the truth was that if we didn't do what we had to do, there would have been trouble. I mean, there's still lots of stories of people coming for their money and realizing that, oh, the money was there because CBG was there, and CBG had the liquidity to pay them. We saved 2,300 jobs because if where you're coming from. If it's insolvent and the license has been withdrawn, then you don't have a job. We saved 2,300 jobs. We moved on to help BOG to resolve and pay out funds in the SNL sector. And of course, we integrated all our technology platforms into one. But the most important thing, establish a strong governance framework so we could grow as a bank. Fast forwarding to the current situation. 2019, we made a profit of 103, profits before tax. 2020, very difficult year, COVID and everything, but we still made a reasonable profit of 76. 2021, half year, we're 32, and over the next quarter, these numbers are getting better. But the one that really interests me is the loans and advances graph. And why do I say that? The challenge for our business people has always been access to credit. As bankers, it is our duty to facilitate that. It is our duty to oil the wheels of industry. And so a banker cannot just say, I'm making profits. Your key question is, how have you facilitated access to credit? Of course, doing that within the framework of a strong enterprise risk management system. And so we started 2019, we ended 2019 with a loan book of 228. We moved on to a loan book of 862 in 2020. As at half year 2021, we're at 971. As I speak, we're at 1.1, and we'll end the year at 1.4. So by the end of this year, we would have grown from 862 to 1.4 billion in loans. And I'll give the details of these loans as we go along. Total assets have grown, and our deposits have grown quite reasonably from when we started to about 6.8 billion. Now, this is the part that really excites me. Where are we going? Given the environment we started with, we said we must have a clear vision. Our vision is to be the most trusted bank in Ghana. Our mission to offer simple, secure, and differentiated banking solutions. But our strategic intent, our mandate is very clear. It has been said over and over again that SMEs are the lifeblood of this economy, that SMEs are the engine of this economy. The businesses in this country, 95% are SMEs. Now, if SMEs are so much, and if they contribute so much to this economy, then it stands to reason that as bankers, we must support them. It stands to reason that we must do everything possible to advance the cause of SMEs. Now, I know that the narrative from bankers has been that, oh, SMEs are dangerous. There are inherent risks there. But as bankers, we're not paid to avoid risks. We're paid to manage risks. And therefore, CBG says to itself that we will build Ghana's preferred SME bank. That is our mandate. That is what we've put ourselves to do. And our commitment to this is absolute. Everything we did is geared towards that statement there. Build Ghana's preferred SME bank. These are some of the things we'll do towards that, but I'll skip it and move on to what we call the 3 pillars of our agenda. Pillar 1, as a policy bank, working together with the government to achieve its economic goals. Number 2, providing innovative banking solutions to the SME sector. And last but not the least, establishing a clear leadership in digital financial services. Now, 2 and 3 sort of dovetail together, because to be able to serve SMEs properly, you will need to have a strong digital play. The digital agenda reduces cost to serve, reduces time to serve, but also gives you the kind of insights you need to understand the risk you're dealing with, to manage them, and to be able to offer solutions to those SMEs. So these are the 3 pillars of our agenda. And how have we advanced on those 3 pillars? If you ask me, we've made quite an impact. Now, let me start from the government assisting government on its financial and economic objectives. Up to this point, we have 1.4 billion cedis worth of transactions. We've already done 235 of them, finished, consummated, paid off. We have 430 million transactions, value running, and the pipeline transactions, again, for the government sector is 737 million at this point. And the picture you saw in that slide shows some of the stuff that's been done. Sea defense wall, jetty in Takrade, and the rest. And it's not as if we're concentrating on one sector, but it's running across different sectors. Services, education, oil and gas, defense, security. We're doing transactions in all these sectors. Still making an impact as an SME bank. We have a host of solutions that we put together for our SMEs, and we are actually deploying them. If you go out into the markets, CBG is there lending money. We're giving supply chain solutions, inventory finance. We're giving digital solutions to our customers, QR codes, internet banking, mobile payment services, the whole lot of them. Today, we have a portfolio of 224 million in the SME space. We've lent to 1,037 customers. These are distributed all over CBG branches, and this is the portfolio sitting there now. Now, this does not include what has already been done and been paid off. This is what is actually running today. We've also started a digital lending project. You remember I said digital is the way to go. Now, digital actually goes to the micro segment of the SME. So you're lending to that person who needs just 1,000 cedis or 1,500 cedis to do a quick transaction and pay back. And we're doing that. We started off sometime in June. We did a few trials. In August, I'm happy to say that we have disbursed 16 million to 287,000 different people. Happy to say the repayments are right on track, very good. 12.2 million has been paid, and today the number of borrowers on that portfolio is 78,000. Now we're scaling up this. This is actually a learning period, but we're quickly scaling up, and then of course we'll roll it out to other telcos because this rides on the back of the telco wallet and the telco platform. So this is the case study, if you like. It's been running for just 3 months, and we're going to roll it out. Again, we were very instrumental last year during the COVID period when to the Ghana GAA was giving out loans to people who were affected by the COVID-19 situation. And the total amount disbursed was 133 million and 31,000 different loans. We've moved on to partner with GEA and the MasterCard Foundation for what we call the Consolidate scheme. The total portfolio value is 54 million, and we've just signed it off, and we'll be working to disburse that over the next few months. I just skip this. So we're very clear where we're going on the SME agenda. First of all, understand that business. Then develop an ecosystem around the SMEs. Then use the insights that you gain from the analytics that we do. And we're building a data analytics section. Use the insights to continue to refine and enhance the user experience for the SME, to continue to refine the kind of services you give to the SME. But most importantly, also to begin to prefer to offer advisory services and not just lending to SMEs. And just to mention that with all this, we still have another 120 million that we've earmarked for SME lending between the next 6 months, and that's still to be disbursed. Now, still moving on, making an impact, the digital imperative. We all know these days that digital is the way to go in everything you do. And so for every institution, and not only banks, you have to have a digital strategy. You have to have a digital proposition. We've done a lot of work around this. We've set up a digital banking department. That's the department that started with the digital lending and is going to move on to other digital products as we go on. Remember that pillar 3 I said, to establish clear leadership in the digital space. Now, how does that impact us? It actually deepens financial inclusion. And because it brings liquidity into the banking sector, ultimately lowers the cost of borrowing because it's a strong and constant liquidity pipeline. And so we're actively working on this, and I can assure you that within the next few months, up to by the end of November, we would have actually launched our digital platform again. Now, whilst doing all this, we haven't forgotten the environment that gives us an operating environment. We're very focused on the CSR. We're taking the 3, 4, 8 of the sustainable development goals. We're working assiduously at them. And so we've done things around health. We've done things around education. You will recall that last year, immediately COVID-19 started, 2-3 months the line, we committed 1 million cedis to assisting the government's efforts towards resolving the COVID-19 situation. We've done things with Lekama Hospital. We've donated to the Village of Hope. And our flagship project that is yet to start but coming up very soon, the Pediatric Oncology Project that is aimed at giving relief to children suffering from childhood cancers, assisting. We're in serious conversations with Kolebo Teaching Hospital to get this project underway. This is some pictures from some of the stuff we did. So, our future is very clear. We know where we're going. We know where we're taking the bank. 1, the preferred SME bank, offering innovative digital financial solutions, partnering with the government on its economic agenda, key, the Obantampa project, Ghana Cares, you're all aware of that. And of course, financial inclusion, making sure that every part of this country, everybody in this country has access to banking services. This is a bit of a light moment, but this is where we've come from, and that's where we're going. So to you, our stakeholders, to our shareholders, SIGA represented here by Samuel Boateng, to our regulators, Bank of Ghana, SEC, and the like, and to the citizens of this country represented in this room by the ladies and gentlemen of the press, we say to you that CBG will stand with you. We will continue to play our role in the economic development of this country. We were formed for a particular reason. We have fulfilled that mandate, and we have redefined the mandate to include working assiduously with government to advance economic agenda and to deepen access to finance and to financial solutions for the SMEs of this country. Thank you very much and good morning.
Please, if you're clapping, please, let's do it better. And thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful presentation. We have 15 minutes for questions, and we'll permit him to be in his seat. We take first 3 questions. After that, we take the answers, and then if we still have time, we take additional 3 questions. So if someone can help me, we take in first 3 questions, and then after that, we take additional 3. Please, if you have any questions you want to ask. Okay, there's one there.
Good morning. Nana Kwesi Ampofo from Oman FM. Mr. Daniel, I would like to know, aside all the success story being talked, have you done any of the social corporate responsibility so that if I'm working in town, I can pinpoint that this facility ABC was done by CBG? Thank you.
If we can have another one. Any other? Okay. I think you can.
Thank you very much, my brother from Oman FM. Yes, we have done a lot in the corporate social responsibility space. As I said in the presentation, we have focused on 3 of the sustainable development goals. Goal number 3, goal number 4, and goal number 8, which looks at health, education, and the like. And so we've done, and you recall last year when we committed 1 million cities to the COVID efforts, and we actually delivered those funds. Some of that money went into paying for equipment for the NHIS, some went to paying for equipment for the UGMC, but some of that was given also to for purchase of PPEs and the like. All totally 1 million, but that's just that. We've also donated stuff to Kolebu Teaching Hospital. We've donated stuff to Konfonotichi. We have also renovated the airport police station and donated stuff to the police training school in Tesano. So there's a host of them, and I can't begin to mention all of them now, but if you like, you can see me later on and I'll give you the details.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we don't have any other question for CBG. Oh, okay.
Thank you. I must say that the media here is quite impressed about your successes, and that's why it seems we don't have much questions for you. Just about 2-3 years, you've done so well, and we want to commend you to keep on with the vision and your mandate. But I would want to know, with the SMEs, is it that you only deal with SMEs? What about individual Ghanaians? What do they have? Or what do you have to offer the individual Ghanaians? Thank you.
No, thank you very much. And forgive me, we get so passionate about SMEs that we speak a lot about that. But yes, we're a universal bank. And so we actually provide banking services to what you call the ordinary Ghanaian. So you, me, your father, everybody. And we have products, right? So we have asset finance products. You want to buy TV, you want to buy a car, we're there for you. We have, of course, you can open a current account. You want to invest your money, we're there for you. We can give you a fixed deposit, or we can buy securities, treasury bills, and the like for you, right? So we have a full suite of banking products for the consumers.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you very much for your questions. I think we don't have any other questions, so shall we please give CBG a round of applause for that wonderful presentation. As I earlier indicated, we have 2 presentations. CBG is done. So we now invite Professor Amin Al-Hassan, the Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, to tell us their story. Please, let's do it for him.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I think that this innovative way of presenting state enterprises is a laudable one, and I want to commend SIGA for starting this process. And ladies and gentlemen of the media, you are very welcome to this presentation, a little peek at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, what we are doing with it, the challenges, the successes, and going forward. So I would like to crave the permission of the Director General of SIGA to present to the media what GBC looks like today and the future ahead. My earlier presenter, Mr. Daniel Addo, thank you very much for giving us an insight into what those in the money business do. We are media. And I think just before I start, I would like to make a comment about the metrics we use in assessing the performance of state enterprises. We need to start making it more nuanced to reflect certain particular mandates. And you will see in this presentation why we need to figure out how to assess the performance of organizations like the GBC. I would like to present it in this form: history, mandate, finance, infrastructure, and mindset. It's a very critical component of the transformation that we are going through at GBC. Then the success story, what we are investing in, and what we mean by transforming the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation from a bureaucracy to a business. I think we all are aware, one of the oldest institutions of the state in Ghana is GBC. It's today 86 years old. We celebrated it July 31st. And if you look at where we came from a colonial instrument to national mobilization after independence, to an instrument of African liberation, and as an instrument of a totalitarian conception of national development, to currently a critical institutions of democracy in the service of national development and integration. Why I bring out all these 5 factors is that if you walk into GBC today, you see all these playing out in the very structure of GBC today. Like it or not, you have to deal with this history as it translates itself in contemporary times. And this is one of the problems or challenges handling GBC. You see all of this in GBC today, but we are able to move forward and transform GBC away from the past. And it's obvious, an 86-year-old man must be suffering from a lot of arthritis. He will always be visiting. He will be visiting the urologist to take care of so many problems. And it is very obvious in GBC. When you come to GBC, you realize that it has all the symptoms of an 86-year-old man. But we have a different way of looking at GBC. You remember the metaphor of the eagle. When the eagle lives, it can live for up to 80 years, 70 years. But by 40 years, the eagle's claws, its beak, its feathers, can no more sustain its lifestyle. It's not able to feed because it grows bigger than it can pick food. The feathers are weak. And what does it do? It takes a break from life into hibernation, starve itself of food for several months, becomes smaller, cuts off the beak, gets new feathers, and gets a new flight of rebirth. And that is how we thought of GBC when we're confronted with GBC, an aged institution. How do we have a new flight of rebirth? How do we transform GBC from the old and give it a new life? So we went into hibernation, went through a process of starving ourselves of food, and now we have grown new feathers. The new beaks are come, and we are taking that new flight of rebirth. And that is what the transformation of GBC is about. We derive our mandate from a number of sources. One is the instrument establishing GBC, the 1968 law. We also have the 1992 Republican Constitution, which has a bit of instructions to us on how to behave. And thirdly, we have a Supreme Court judgment that gives us specific instructions how to work. And through these three sources, we derive our mandate as one, a state broadcaster, two, a public service broadcaster, and three, a commercial broadcaster. Now, when you combine these three, I don't know what you will call it. What kind of beast is this? Is it a hermaphrodite? Never mind. That's the challenge. But that is the challenge of running GBC, and we see it as an opportunity. We don't see it as a burden to resolve, even though the burden, as I will show to you, is very obvious. So we are therefore challenged to offer content to all Ghanaians, irrespective of where they are located. And that's key, irrespective of where they are located. So you can compare GBC to the private media, which looks for markets. We look for citizens. And this is one of the burdens that we have to contend with. And we are happy to deliver on that mandate. We then have to look for language. As you will soon be seeing, diversity of languages is a big challenge in public service broadcasting, and we have to go with it, and we are working on that. So that diversity of content and universal of access are values, are guiding values that define us, and we are always cautious of that. The third part, I don't know, when the Supreme Court judges were talking about giving free, equal airtime to all political parties in the election year, they didn't tell us where we will get the money to do that. They didn't, and they didn't think about it. Never mind, we've accepted the ruling, and we are working with it as part of our public service mandate. So, I mean, when I assumed office, I didn't understand. In a moment of confusion and difficulties, we went back into retreat with my management team, and we asked ourselves, what is GBC? And we discovered that, like it or not, GBC is a media empire. It is the biggest media organization in the country. It is a media empire that we must contend with. We have, you see the map, every icon there means that we have an FM station operating there. Every icon, and we haven't gotten, we still want to go further, because from the top, northeast region, we don't have a presence there. Savannah region, we don't have a presence. You come to go also in Ahafo region, we don't have a presence. New regions, we don't have presence. We are working to establish presence there. Whether it is profitable or not, it doesn't matter. We must go and serve them, for the law says so. And we are happy to do it. Now, you will see that we have 7 TV channels. 2 of them are regional, Obonu and Garden City Television. Obonu is in Accra, Garden City is in Kumasi. And these are local language broadcasting we've asked them to do. I mean, Obonu has never brought us any money, but we are happy to invest the IGF we get in other areas to keep it running, because we know it's very important. When COVID struck and the president was compelled to shut down schools, that very morning, the GES Director General called me. I said, come over. He came. We sat down. And within 2 weeks, we launched a 24-hour brand new channel, Ghana Learning TV. From nowhere, unbudgeted for. And we were on air. We are still on air. And the content is provided exclusively by GES, and we do the broadcasting. That's Ghana Learning TV. That's the kind of work we do as GBC. LS channel used to be, it's still current, starting from this September, we are transforming it into lifestyle channel. It used to be GTV Live. And we found out that it is not making money. But at the same time, it doesn't really reflect our core mandate. So we are redefining it to reflect our core mandate. So we are working on LS channel because we are supposed to do information, education, and entertainment. LS channel is going to become our entertainment channel that will bring in the youth. And it's expected to be an increased source of revenue from that channel. That is what GBC, we have non-media access. Our online presence is a potential area, and I'll be showing you why our future depends on it. challenges. A huge bureaucratic setup. If you look at the history of GBC, this is one of the things that we are burdened with. When you look at the new media ecosystem, GBC's current organogram is out of sync. It's not fit for purpose. But like public service institution, there's a long process of restructuring GBC, and I think you are familiar with the discourse on restructuring GBC. It's a huge challenge. To restructure GBC to reflect the current media ecosystem is something beyond management. It's a policy issue, and my honorable minister is working on that with the Media Commission. Media markets in Ghana are saturated with oversupply of media outlets. So GBC's revenue in the last 2 decades has suffered a deep decline. We are burdened with the past. And the third part is the aging staff. That's the truth. It must be said. Digital media ecosystem is pro-youth. I think we are all at home sometimes, our computers and phones. We give it to our children to help us. That is a fact of media. So at GBC, you have a senior manager who has worked for 20 years, 30 years, sitting there. But you would have wished that you bring a young boy to sit there and take care of the work. But he says, no, I'm senior, I'm boss. I remember having in one of the difficult moments I was faced with, the IPMC, which is a computer training school, the CEO and myself were engaged in a very serious conversation, and he warned me, don't recruit anybody with 10 years work experience in IT. Don't recruit them. Go and get those who graduated last year with bachelor degrees and put them there. They will surprise you. And he told me his experience at IPMC and what the lessons they learned. These are some of the things we pick from the private sector. We engage with the private sector a lot to pick ideas in order to work in GBC. And I think the truth is that we have an aged staff. We have. And that is one of the big challenges. The bigger one is the task of doing public service broadcasting. For 2020, we delivered our mandate on public service broadcasting at the cost of 70 million cedis to GBC, meaning that it's the kind of service you do and nobody pays you for it, but you actually spend your money. I'll give you an instance. When, for some reason, we went to the courts with presidential petition, this country, the general consensus was that it should be televised live. But nobody asked us how we are going to fund it. Nobody. All I got to know is that the Chief Justice invited me for a conversation and told me that I want this live. I looked in the face, I said, I'll send you an invoice. He said, look, I did not budget for this. And I said, sir, if you did not budget for a presidential petition, how can a GBC budget for telecasting it live? It was unpredictable, or sort of for us. But once he asked us to do it, let me tell you what it cost GBC. Every minute you watch the presidential petition live, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation was paying $3 to a satellite service provider till the petition was over. Anytime they sit in court, every minute, GBC has to pay a satellite service provider $3 till it's over. Yes. But thankfully, we paid it from our IGL. That's the kind of what I mean. We are not declaring profits. But if we were to declare profits, I'll tell you that is the profit we have declared. The entire several days of hearing, every minute, $3 GBC has paid with tax, and that's the painful part. We pay this with tax. The Chief Justice told me he didn't have the money. But there was no way we could come out and tell Ghanaians that we can't bring it live. And that kind of burden is what we are talking about. How to assess the performance of state enterprises by factoring in what they offer for you for free. So we are anticipating for this 2021, 70 million cedis for the cost of doing this type of services. COVID brought a new dimension to managing public sector organizations. And definitely we are aware it decimated the industry. It had a adverse effect on industry. And when industries goes down, advertising revenue goes down, and everything we fund at GBC is from our IGF. So it's clear we suffered a massive reduction in our IGF. At the same time, we had our OPEX went up, and we had to fund it from IGF, 100%. It means that our revenue generation capacity went up. And that is why we can confidently tell you that we don't have any debt, either from the Supreme Court broadcast or COVID. We are able to absorb all of that financially. We were able to put in place preventive measures against COVID, and part of it was ensuring that staff are picked and dropped home. So we had to really put our transport department into high gear. Staff who had their own means of transport, we promised them fuel and we delivered, so that they can be coming to work without joining the public transport. If you understand the newsroom operations, you wouldn't want your staff who works in the newsroom to take public transport, because it's a beehive of activity, and one gets it, we are shut down. So, against these challenges, we said, look, listen. Management at the early part of last year, after several weeks of thinking and fighting over ideas, came out with a blueprint. GBC, in order to survive, we must develop a scheme to transform our operations from the bureaucratic setup we have inherited to business-minded operations. We had to move away from entitlement-driven. The guy gets a salary assured. The next thing is that he looks at the collective bargaining agreement and reminds you that you have to clear for his medicals. He is interested in telling you that he is entitled to this or that. But when you tell him that you are supposed to give me this type of productivity, he doesn't understand, because it's a bureaucracy. Processes are more important than outcomes. We said, no. Outcomes are important. So we are moving GBC from entitlement-driven to performance-driven. And I can come out of my way and identify a staff and said, you will have this 2,000 cedis into your packet direct for showing an example of productivity. I mean, the rules doesn't allow it, the existing condition doesn't allow it. But if I have two of my staff on the breakfast show, and the challenge of changing their addresses every day is on them, and their salary doesn't include that, I come and say, look, 5,000 cedis, please go and put it in your wardrobe. And it works. They are motivated. They leave home early, put in their best clothes, come and actually work. And GBC is the winner. So, what I have limited major details, partly because Honorable CEO of SIGA, I must say that it's not every detail on strategy and tactics I will deliver, because I'm delivering in front of my competitors. They are watching to pick away, so I'll be a bit general. But basically, two aspects of our transformation process: strategic direction and tactical execution. 4 perspectives on strategy: our financials, customers, business processes, learning and growth. I must say that the area we least expected to be a challenge was learning and growth. We just found out that in the last 20 years, GBC has not spent so much on training and reorientation as we are doing in 2021. So much trying to turn up people's mindset from entitlement-driven to productivity, to let them understand that it is in their interest. And for this, we've been going through extensive training programs for each and every staff. We've done across the regions. We are in Accra. and it is yielding results. When we finish the regional training program, my deputy, who is in charge of revenue flow from the regions, came and told me that, said, look, the figures have changed. Revenue reporting has increased, and even the quality of reporting has improved. So we quickly saw there was evidence that there is a relation between training and revenue. And we have come to Accra, and we are doing that massively, and we are ongoing with it. And it's very expensive, but we think that is the way to save GBC because of the history I earlier showed you. It's hanging on us. Now, on tactical execution, we have recognized that the concept of strong brands, we have them. I think all of these are our brands. What happened to our radio brands? It's outside. Well, all of these are brands that we have identified. Look, each channel is a brand on its own. Let's not merge all of them into something called GBC. So you can watch Garden City Television and you don't know it's GBC. The important thing is that the brand is Garden City Television. And I remember someone came to my office one day and I was watching, it was on my office, and he said, you also watch this channel? I said, yes. He said, my kids like it. And I said, oh, thank you. That's one of our latest babies. He said, is that GBC? I said, yes, but when you go home, don't tell them. Just keep them watching. That's all I want. But don't tell them it's GBC. And that's the kind of rebranding we are doing. We put each channel separate out there to be on its own. We have our biggest problem, because we are bureaucratic, is the fact that even when money is available to go and pick, our staff won't go. A former student of mine working in an organization one day sent me a WhatsApp and said, oh, Prof, GBC has some checks here worth 300 and something thousand cities. We are not collecting this, over 3 months lying here. I said, you joking. He WhatsApped the checks to me, the image. That's the kind of GBC. The money is lying there. Go and pick it. You won't go. But you are the first to demand that your medicals be paid. So these processes, we think that we need to really work on them, and we are making serious progress on that attitude for change. Quality of content, we are investing heavily, I must tell you, on the hardware of production. And it's translating into good content. And that is what media organizations are. Only one thing defines a media organization. Only one. Forget about all the rest. Unique content. If you have unique content, you are the boss of the industry. We've identified that, and we are working on it. We look for talent wherever they are. Whether you are a GBC staff or not, I will ask you, what is your price? And I will pay you to deliver the content for GBC. And it's working for us as we speak. The evidence is there. I mean, it's very obvious for us now that we know that we are. Training and teamwork, I've already touched on it. And why are we doing all this? Why are we doing all this? We are doing all of this because this is the nature of the industry as at this year, 2021. That's the total advertising expenditure by industry. 50% is going to online advertising, paid search, and mobile. We are currently competing in the 29% pot, which is TV and radio. Outdoor is just 5%. With all these TV stations and radio stations in this country today, we are competing for revenue in the 29% pot. The future is in the 50%, and the one who will survive, it will depend on your ability to take a big snatch of the 50%. That is the media industry today, and that is where we are going. The future is digital. Now, we have a few things to talk about our achievements. All I will say with revenue is this. After the earlier presentation, I have to take out some of the data for other reasons. We exceeded our target in first quarter by 75%. First quarter. And we looked into the history and we found out that never has it happened in the last 20 years. We haven't. So we said, so we can do this, and let's go on. Second quarter, we exceeded revenue 30% of the second quarter. Then we said, then I think we are getting our act right. And so if you come to GBC today, we have done a lot of investment in turning the 86-year-old man into a handsome 25-year-old man. These are some of the things we want to flag and show to you. This is important. 2020 elections. In the history of GBC, this is the first election we have covered without government budget support. First ever. All elections year, government gives a special amount to GBC. This year, we did not go for it. We looked internally and said, we will fund this. We needed 6 polo cars. We went and paid for it. When it was time to pay, we issued 1 check. It didn't bounce. Then we said, our news studio is too, in fact, I think you are aware of the social media bash on GBC's studio. We said, look, it's enough. Let's go forward. Previous years, we have been waiting for government to give us money to buy video wall. We said, no way. Let's look internally. We will fund it. We got the video wall. We went to Kofi Annan Institute for ICT and commissioned them. They mentioned the amount we paid, the producers. They gave us an election reporting software, which we put on for the election. So if you reflect on how we reported the election, that was the work of the software. Now, what is important here is that it's the first time GBC is doing elections by owning the software. So next year, all the data will be next elections, all the data will be available for us to do more analysis. We capture the data, store it. Next elections, we will continue building up so that after several elections, we can see the patterns. And all of this is now owned. In previous elections, we rented the software, which gave us only one-time use. But this time around, we own it. And that is what we are talking about, the transformation going on. We have invested on TVU. TVU is simply a live coverage device, a link device. So I told you we went to the Supreme Court and we're paying $3 a minute to a satellite company. If the petition were to happen today, we will not pay that. A day will cost us about 200 cities data. Vodafone, MTN, Airtel combined, 200 cities, and we'll cover it for the Supreme Court. This is a drastic cost-cutting measure. We will no more have to. By policy, and I have instructed that it is only when it has to do with covering the president that we would go satellite. All other coverage, we are going with the TVU. TVU system, this device here and the gimbal means that we can pair up all our GBC cameras. Anywhere they are, they can go live. We can also pair up to over 100 smartphones of our staff. You pair the Director General's phone, and when he's traveling across the country and there's something he thinks GBC should pick it live, you call the newsroom and say, please stand by. And he'll start taking the pictures and they'll be going live. We can do up to 100 phones. This technology is what we have invested our IGF in acquiring. And we are now saved from expensive satellite expenses. In fact, when I took over office, we had a $3.5 million debt over live coverage using satellites. We are yet to finish paying it. So the important thing is that we are no more accumulating debt. We are now working to push the debt down. Our studios. Studio 1, we are putting equipment there. Radio, we are investing a lot on radio. In fact, when we got the business for Ghana Learning Radio, it was good money. So we invested a lot of it. I shouldn't say that. It's expensive to do Ghana Learning Radio, so we invested most of the monies into retooling our studios across the country so that we can do Ghana Learning Radio business. We have also invested on our new studio with new equipment, digital equipment. And this is the kind of transformation that we call retooling GBC. And it's critical to point out that the retooling process is an IGF driven, not public funds from the government. More pictures on what we are doing with our IGF. The breakfast show set, the video wall. We are enhancing the breakfast show set with a new video wall. And currently, as we speak, technicians are on site installing it. And when it's done, we will be enhancing the breakfast show set. So for those of us who are hoping to catch up with us, we assure you we are moving a step further. Now, Ghana Learning TV Studio. This is our latest baby that we are proud of. We use our IGF to build a studio with robotic cameras, meaning that only one person can sit at a point outside the studio and control all the 4 cameras in the studio when you want to produce content for education. So very soon, we will be launching university level content on Ghana Learning TV. We'll terminate broadcast from Ghana Learning TV at 8 o'clock and go on university level content so that if you still want to remember the psychology lecture you had at university, you want to remember it, you can keep it 1 hour or 2 in the evening and follow the lectures on our studio. So we are doing what our mandate says, education. And we are very much proud of executing that aspect of our mandate. So the Learning GLTV studio is our latest state-of-the-art studio that we are very much proud of, and we assure you. GTV Sports Plus, we are getting ready. I think World Cup qualifiers are up, and only GBC has the free-to-air rights. And we are not going to use the old GTV Sports Plus studio to do that. As we speak, technicians are on site trying to transform the Sports Plus studio into a state-of-the-art modern studio with a big video wall. We hope they will finish it by this weekend and get us going, put it on. Yesterday they powered it and it was working, so they are finishing up the touches. That is what kind of the things that we are doing with our IGA. We are making sure that every block in GBC has a fiber optic connection with internet and technicians. There's a contractor on site working on that. We are making sure GBC's buildings haven't seen paint for so many years. I don't know how many years, but someone told me, Afenimoni told me yesterday that for 30 years, they were not painted, and we laughed. The important thing is that every wall in GBC must have a new look. And we have a consistent color code system which reflects our brands. And we want to transform that phase. Staff training is heavy this year, and we are still on it. We've done a lot. At least so far, the last time we checked, over 500 staff have benefited. Each staff goes for a 3-day residential training program in a hotel. Very expensive. We make sure we give them all the best they want and get them to concentrate, and it is paying off. We have the traffic package building software is a tracking and monitoring software, and this is critical because it will stop the financial leakages we have. People bring commercials and play on their own. If you don't watch, it goes. This thing will prevent you from doing that. It will document everything, and auditors can track everything. This is so the way forward. I'm just coming to the end. The way forward, we think that going forward, we should focus on power, electricity bill. Is our biggest headache. Currently, we have a huge electricity bill on our head, and by the nature of our operations, the bill is rising. I mean, an FM station in Skitikrachi cannot pay for itself, but the bill itself is even more, but we have to keep it running. We think going forward, we will no more set up an FM station without a solar plant. So we are saying that all its new regions, we must put them on solar as the default source of power and let the national grid be on standby. Setting up each channel as a business unit. That's part of the transformation agenda we have. Each of the channel must stand alone. prove yourself that you can survive financially. Your revenue must show. We want to clearly build staff capacity on digital technology, which is a huge deficit. And we also want to have a clear definition of our dual mandates. When you look at the BBC, public service broadcasting is clearly defined and commercial broadcasting is clearly defined so that you don't cross-subsidize. And we'll now ask, how do we fund public service broadcasting? That is the kind of model we are anticipating to see. We want to make sure that we build synergies across the three media platforms we have, TV, radio, and online. And we also want to develop a cross-media approach to program development and maximization of talent. And we also want to focus on cost recovery. These are the issues that we think are key going forward. And thank you.
Please, let's keep clapping. It has been a very interactive and insightful presentation. As usual, we have 15 minutes. We're going to take In fact, I was going to say that we will not allow questions. So we have 15 minutes, three questions first, and then if we continue with 3 questions. But Prof, I want to ask the first question. Is GBC still taking TV licenses? And then where and how do we pay? That's the first question. Please, we take the rest of the questions. Somebody should help me pass the mic around.
Komla is my name. I work at TV3. I have about 4 questions for. Unfortunately, I would have loved to make it 1, but I'm going to make it a 4. One, when you were speaking about the coverage of the election petition, you said that you were paying for satellite for $3 per minute. You fell short of telling us the entire cost. It would help us to know how much you actually really incurred for the election petition. That's the first one. Number 2, in June 2020, the Ministry of Communication had indicated that they were going to take over some channels of yours which they deemed you were not using. It created a lot of brouhaha, which subsequently had a halt from the presidency. The minister justified it and said that GBC has not been able. Yes, I'm laying the background. So the question is, does GBC still stand by the justification that the takeover of those channels by the Minister of Communication is unjustified? Then the third one, encroachment on some of your properties. What is the state broadcaster doing about it? The very last one, which you had indicated also, regarding the coverage of political parties, most especially when parties are in opposition, they heap a lot of blame on you that you are not able to give them the coverage, especially the NDC has even gone far ahead. Or encroachment on some of your properties, yes. Then the parties are saying that what they are demanding now, specifically the NDC, saying that you're going to have to give them full coverage that you would give to the ruling government as well.
Thank you very much for your question. And when the banker presented, there were no questions like. Now, when the media presents, then there's a lot of interest. And frankly, thank you very much for your interest. I'm delighted to have these questions, be assured. and I'm happy to engage with you on these issues that you have raised. So one, TV license. Yes, you see, I think it was a national response of a kind of sort of rejecting TV license fee as it is currently put. But the same people who rejected it, when they relocate to Britain and they go to the market and buy a TV set, within a week they'll get a letter telling them they should pay TV license whether you watch BBC or not. The concept of TV license is not about you watching GBC. It's about ensuring media equity and distribution, because of the mandate of the public service broadcaster is to increase access and to all Ghanaians. So it's like the way when you take your lights bill, you pay for street lights. But you don't sleep on the street, and you might not even need a street light, but you have to pay for it. It's a similar system, except that when the idea was conceptualized in Britain, TV was the most dominant technology. So they call it TV license fee. Some European countries have since stopped calling it TV license fee, and they have called it public media tax or levy. And that is the proper name for it. TV license is not a good name to capture what you do. Like I keep saying, when you give me TV license funds, I'm going to spend more of it on radio than TV. Because we speak 56 Ghanaian languages. The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation broadcasts today 23 Ghanaian languages a day. And I keep telling my staff, we haven't done nothing yet. This is a challenge for all Ghanaians. There are zones and districts where you go, and it's pathetic. None of their languages is on radio. So we will be happy to collect it if Ghanaians are ready to pay, except that the Ghanaians are not ready to pay, and we will keep it like that. If you come to pay your TV license fee, we will take. But it's very clear that the last time we tried it, it turned out bad. And we respect sentiments of Ghanaians. When you tell us no, we will accept it. And when we say yes, we'll say thank you for now reasoning with us. Cost of election petition. You want to know the exact figure. I'm sorry, I don't have it off my hand, but all I know is this. I receive invoices for all from the satellite service provider to the minute. Every minute we were on. And the entire coverage was by satellite. We have everything in our books. But like I said, I don't like, immediately I finish, somebody tell me, but I didn't tell us the exact revenue we got. I won't bring that here for a very simple fact. GBC, because of the last 20 years of mess, carries with it one of the largest number of litigation cases in court. All kinds of characters lay claims to GBCs, and we are in court over several. Sometimes I don't even, I'll be sitting and a new case will come and I'll look at it and say, where did this one come from? They say, sir, 5 years ago we did this. So we don't give out exact figures. We will when external auditors are done. Sorry. But be guaranteed, all the minutes of the period of the satellite company didn't give us a good discount. Everything was invoiced and we have paid up. About the discussions on the channel, I think the presidency came out with a statement, and I'll leave it at that. I don't expect the CEO to comment on the decision of the president. Let's be very decorous on national policy issues. The policy hierarchy system is like that. Once the president speaks, it's final. Right? So I will leave it at that. But as to whether we still want those channels, did you see any of the channels I presented vacant? They are all tasked with very major issues to deal with, right? So what do? Yeah. We are making judicious use of the resources we have, and we respect the president's decision. Encroachment on GBC lands, a big one, a big problem, and I just don't know what to do with it. It's so overwhelming. I mean, you just can't cope. Partly because in every region of the country, in several districts of the country, GBC has pieces of land. In some districts you go and you realize that an entire district assembly, the entire administration building and everything is sitting on GBC land. But if you look at the new Land Act, Encroachments that are done by other state agencies cannot be called encroachment. Because clearly we don't own the land. It's the state land allocated to us. So another state entity can come and sit on it. So at Boko, the fire service building have put up a bigger building than ours and sitting on our land. But they know what they did. And the Gambaga District Assembly, Municipal Assembly is sitting on GBC, the entire assembly, and they are aware. The private encroachers, we will tell them, you don't stand a chance. You will be pushed out, and it is something that we are figuring out how. In some places we have gone to recover encroached lands, and in some cases we are in court. We have several court cases regarding land encroachment, and I'll leave it at that. Equal coverage, elections. You see, why I don't take some comments serious is this. When the MPP was in opposition, they accused GBC of bias. When the NDC went into opposition, they accused GBC of bias. But for me, somebody coming from the academia, my interest was not in the claims of these two parties. My interest was to look actually what is going on. And I'll explain to you. We have put in place a robust mechanism to advise us and guide us during elections. And it worked in the last election. How does it work? We have categorically stated the freebies. Free airtime for all political parties, and I assure you they were equal. I supervised it, and I tell you, take me anywhere, I'll prove to you that they were equal. Then we said, we have to make money. So if you have money, come and buy airtime. So you come and buy. So for example, the MPP went to launch its manifesto in Cape Coast. For the live coverage, we earned 50,000 cedis from the MPP. That's good money. So if another party is launching its manifesto and you are not paying me, I will not come. And I did not even indicate that as part of the free airtime. We determined the free airtime. Oh, you all have a turn or moment tonight. If it's your turn and you don't come, please, I have no problem. It's your problem. Oh, we will have a breakfast show. Each party will have a turn on breakfast show. Come. It's up to you to come. So we in GBC stand by the position that we gave equal airtime to all political parties. We also made business with airtime, and it was airtime that money can buy. I remember saying this among my colleague academics, and they damned me for saying that, and I told them, you can sit in the university and say this, but when you are given the burden of running a corporation like GBC, you think again. So that is it. I stand by the position that we gave equal airtime to all political parties. If you want, come and we'll show you how we allocated it. We are also a commercial broadcaster. Remember, I showed you. And in that area, it's not about equity or equality. It's about money, pay, deliver. It's cash and carry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. We're hopeful, based on the level of interactions, that our media brothers and sisters here will give us an extensive coverage on this one. We'll be grateful, and we hope that we're going to sustain this program. We'll be allowing 2 extra questions. DG, with your permission, only 2 questions. So we're taking 2 because I think we have 4 already. So if we will allow for 2 more questions, please.
Thank you. Mine is on the aging staff. Miss Lydia Kukwa Samoa. I report for Ghana News Agency, please. I want to follow up on the aging staff. Is it that they are old and they don't want to go, or they are it's like they are there and their expertise are still needed? That is what I want to know. And then your electricity bill, the electricity bill that you complain. You didn't also give us a figure. But you said it's increasing and that you even want to adopt solar, going forward. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the question, Lydia. On aging staff, it is a very delicate matter, but the fact of it is this. If you used analog cameras and analog machines to learn to do TV production, and for 20 years you use those machines to work on, and today the machines have changed drastically. Clearly, if you understand the issue of human age and learning processes, you are going to find it a big challenge learning the new technologies. We are human beings. So that's a fact that we have lost of senior staff who are analog minded, but the terrain is digital. So they resist the introduction of the digital for obvious reasons. It's a human factor. You don't want something to come to your space that you can't operate. So we have to treat it with that. And they also have given their whole life to GBC. So there's a moral obligation on the part of GBC to handle them well. But we also have a responsibility, in fact, SIGA, to treat GBC and make sure that we don't let the moral overcome the imperative of making sure that we match up with our mandate. So that is how dicey it is. But the fact remains that if you are 50 years old, you're going to have a challenge working in a digital environment. Like we say, if you are BBC, born before computer, that's a fact. Your children will do better with smart learning new softwares. And the IT sector is fast changing. You go and learn how to use a video technology to edit. In 2 years' time, a new one comes out, and you have to learn, because the new one has more interesting things to do with it. So we GBC, this is a fact on the ground. We are finding a human way, with a human face, on how to deal with it. Electricity bill. When I assumed office, we had a 25 million cedi cap on the bill. Current, and so we brought it up and the government ring-fenced it. We have also now accumulated some close to, we are going towards 4 million unpaid. We pay, but we don't pay for everything. And some of our stations are just shut down. Kumasi, Ashanti region, we have 2.7 million cities hanging on the region. Every now and then, when the ECG put one money, they'll go there and shut it down. And I'll go and sign a check and give it to them before they will bring us back. Sometimes the check doesn't. In panic, because when you shut down Kumasi, you shut down several things for GBC. A radio station, a TV station, and a T1 transmitter which carries 26 channels. So Kumasi cannot go off power and I'll go to bed. Before I go to bed, I have to issue something to them to get it back to air. Hine station. Hine is close to the Burkina Faso border. It's been shut down for the bill of 500,000 cities. I can sleep. It's off. Kojo Chrome has a bill of 150,000 cities. They've demanded that they will only connect us if I pay half. GBC pays half. Kojo Chrome is off. So if you live in Kojo Chrome, you are likely going to be getting FM from Côte d'Ivoire. If you live at Cherponi, you are likely going to be getting radio from Togo, because GBC is incapable of keeping its channels up in those areas. So especially if you go around the national boundary, we've just completed a documentary capturing the severity of this, showing us living on the margins of the country, What does it mean to be a Ghanaian in Cherpony? And when you want to do funeral announcements, you have to go across the border and pay a radio station in Togo to do the funeral announcement for you in Ghana. What does it mean for you to live in Osage of Kojokro when you have to do, your radio station is dominated by French? These are national issues, and this is part of, I showed, our public service burden. The burden is huge, and GBC cannot do it alone. And in other countries, like in Britain, that is absorbed by the TV license fund. Remember, BBC is funded to the tune of 70 to 80% from TV license fee. And that's why they can do the magic they are doing. We cannot. We have challenges, and electricity bill, we have getting to 4 million across the country, but if I break it down to the various places, you see how difficult the problem is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the Director General of GBC, Professor Al-Hassan. Please, let's give him a round of applause. At this point, we invite the Director General of SIGA to give us his closing remarks. Please, let's clap for him.
Angel. I saw a Well, we are now at the end of the session. A very, very interactive session, I must admit. Today has been very interesting. Let me start from GBC because for the first time, even me, first time, GBC has opened up. It was shrouded in some secrecy, you know that. And you've given us the reason for that. It was set up for a war effort. And then it went to African liberation matters. And it tells you that there's a history that you cannot just write it off. And it also calls for a whole mindset change. And it's interesting. You when you put up the the historical fact and how you were working, you put up 3 people carrying a big dart. And it was interesting, just going to hit the bull's eye. It tells you about GBC. 1 bull eye, a dart. 1 person just go, bam, you're there. But 3 people had to carry a dart. It tells you, as we're talking about the aged workforce, and so you needed more people to do maybe a simple work. I lived in England for a while, and at one point, when BBC, the same transformation. Margaret Thatcher's one interview, BBC people came to interview her, and there were 5 of them. One carrying the big microphone, you know, the one that you pull, you go this way. Then the cameraman, then somebody holding the cameraman cable, and another holding something. So 5 of them. And that was when the woman Prime Minister decided that BBC was an old, BBC was an old empire that needed change. I mean, she thought only 2 people could do that. Why 5? But of course, in that economy, you can pay people off. You can make redundancies. You can even entice them to go, and they will take it. They will run for it, and they will become like outsource people to come and sell something back to them. They'll make more money, and they went. But you cannot do that. So it's interesting, and that I relate to that. And indeed, when you came to the way forward, it showed 1 man throwing the dart to hit the bullseye. It means you are arriving at the point that you have to arrive. And it's interesting to know that your retooling is all by your IGF. I was the Minister for Information then. I think that was the last time we did a retooling before the new one. And I remember when we got the Sony equipments coming in and moving from analog to digital, and it was good. It cost the government money. But this time you haven't come back for anything. It's coming from my. It's a good sign that you are working. Now, you open up more, and I'm interested in your properties being encroached. That's something SIGA can work with you on. We cannot sit idle by and let, especially private encroachers. We know some of your competitors have also got an issue to deal with, and we'll come to that. And they know themselves. So I'm not mentioning their names. Then let me come to Consolidated Bank of Ghana. Interesting, you are GBC, and they are CBG. And we put you together on the same platform. It's interesting. Coincidence, isn't it? But yours was brilliant. And that's why there was no question. Or few. You answered everything. And the beauty of it, and I am very happy you dwelt on the SME. We're talking about unemployment. That's our problem in Ghana now. I mean, the whole world may be covered as highlighted and made it more prolonged. And we are now talking about jobs. Because if you don't have a job, covered or no covered, you have to eat. Covered or no covered, you have to pay your rent. Otherwise, you'll be out. Covered or no covered, you have to find clothes to wear. You have to go to school. And it's about earning something. That's job. It's employment. And the best form or the best way to create employment is through the small and medium-sized enterprises. Not the big corporations. It's SME. It doesn't take much to employ somebody at the SME level. If I'm a baker and I was a baker's son and we needed extra hands, we didn't need to advertise and they're published. We look for them. And in fact, we even pluck them from the streets. If they have no job to do, come on, you become a baker, we train you. And you can do the bakery. And somebody is out of the street quickly and they get money. And so the SMEs are the key. Margaret Thatcher used to say they are the future big companies that you are looking at. If you groom them well, you nurture them well, you provide them the infrastructure and the fundamentals, they'll become the big boys in town, the big girls in town. So I'm glad that you are focusing and you are creating that enterprise risk management around your business where the trust that I remember those days when the banks were being, everybody told you we didn't like some of the banks. No, it was a problem. There's a financial difficulty and banking crisis. We had to resolve it. And so there was a question of with our money safe. And you were right to highlight that if you had not kept your eye on the ball, some money could have easily got missing in the processes, and you couldn't track it. I mean, you're managing about 7 banks to become one. How do you track every transaction going somewhere? And I commend you and your team, especially the team you inherited. They've been very dedicated to the job. And CBG now is everywhere. And I've been to some of your offices and they're happy working. They're very, very energized and very happy working. And I commend all staff of CBG, wherever you are, and the Bank of Ghana. And the Bank of Ghana, the governor has done extremely well, and his 2 deputies and the staff there, and the government taking a bold decision. It's not easy. People think that running the country is an easy job. It's not. And especially when it comes to money matters. If you watch Mary Poppins, I'm taking you a little back. Watch Mary Poppins film. Normally they show it on Christmas time. And when, I can't remember the man's name, but he took his children to go to the bank. And one of the kids, he asked the little girl to deposit the money in the bank. The little girl refused because she wanted to go and buy ice cream with the money. And then the father took the money from the little girl and gave it to the teller. My daughter wants to deposit. So, no, give me my money. Give me back my money. And as soon as the other customers sitting their head, give me back my money, they all went to the teller, give my money back, give me my money. And the bank collapsed. Within seconds, collapsed. Collapsed. Because when customers don't trust and they begin to fear, they'll take their money away. Just one simple little girl's cry, give my small money back to me, became a national crisis. And the bank collapsed. So that trust you've restored is commendable, and we commend your staff. Thank you so much. So we come to the end of another good session. I believe my media friends and family members who are here, you would admit that SIGA has put up a platform for Ghanaians to hear the turnaround stories. And we commend all of you for being part of SIGA's growth. We are a young authority, but I think we are handling a lot of responsibility, and I commend my senior members, staff here, and the juniors, and the whole of staff members of SIGA. Thank you so much. And we have a lot to learn and a lot to do. It's a bigger one out there, and we will achieve it. I believe with the goodwill of Ghanaians and the president who backs us everywhere we do, everything we do, and for the staff that we have got, with the dedication of the staff that we've recruited. It used to be a case when they said SIGA didn't have the capacity, so and I admitted. Now we have the capacity. Now I can go to bed knowing somebody's working. It doesn't become Asabi's business alone. It's a teamwork, and I'm glad we've got a team to work with. On that note, we come to the end of the session, and we'll call you for another session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your closing remarks. A few announcements. Please, this is for the media. In case you want to interview any of our CEOs, please, you can speak to Arba. Please give them a wave, and she will assist you. We started with a Christian prayer, and we want to do well by ending with a Muslim prayer. And DG, with your permission, you said when a man prays, he doesn't get to heaven. But fortunately, we have a man who will pray and will get to heaven. So we invite Ali Mohammed to give us the Muslim prayer.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Thank you very much, every one of you. We're grateful that you could make it. Thank you for your time. See you soon. Please, we're doing a group photography with the CEOs, heads of departments, technical advisors. We're doing a group photograph.